So in this integration of family into the fame machine, on one level, it's a shrewd business move. On another, it's an interesting return to this idea of the private and the personal moving to the public. We now have the most intimate relationships in Kim Kardashian and the rest of the Kardashians' lives displayed for us in reality shows. It's this emotional support that perhaps has been hidden in terms of the passive fame brought into the spotlight. Again, it's this shifting. And in this photo, I think we can start to move on to the next topic I'd like to talk about today. There is a certain homogeneity in the looks of the Kardashian women, and the looks they strive to achieve, not just in how they physically look. And I want to talk about Kim Kardashian's beauty and how we think of her race. To me, these topics are absolutely intertwined. As I mentioned before, Robert Kardashian Sr. was a third-generation Armenian American. And if we ask, how does Kim Kardashian identify? How do we see her? She identifies herself as an Armenian woman. Here we see Kim and Khloe visiting the Armenian Genocide Memorial Complex in Armenia. So hopefully it would be just as simple as she's Armenian, that's how she identifies, and we can move on. But I think it's a lot more complicated than that. When we start to think about how we think of Kim Kardashian, particularly in this way, I think one thing we can agree on here is that there are different standards of beauty that vary, unfortunately. Like on a macroscopic scale, these often vary by race. So if we are to interpret Kim as a white passing person of color, then the standards by which we evaluate her beauty can subconsciously change. So as we think about Kim Kardashian's beauty, I think the white swimsuit pic is a good one to mull over. One of the most famous selfies of all time, and of course, cannot be mentioned without Kanye West's wonderful response, heading home now. I think we all can relate to the man. Regardless, in this photo, let's talk about the beauty standards by which we evaluate Kim. Why do we call her beautiful? Why do we know her for her physical beauty? I don't think it's as simplistic as to say, and of course this is all conjecture, these are questions for meditation. I personally don't think it's as simplistic to say that Kim is white passing and therefore evaluated on white beauty standards. Rather, I would make an argument that Kim's beauty creates a palatable and tolerable otherness for mass media. She's white enough that she's not necessarily seen as other, it's comfortable and familiar for a dominant zeitgeist, but exotic enough that she can still be objectified for her otherness. And there are certain components of this photo I think that would emphasize that. I think that Tina Fey summed it up best. All Beyonce and J-Lo have done is add to the laundry list of attributes women must have to qualify as beautiful. Now every girl is expected to have Caucasian blue eyes, full Spanish lips, a classic button nose, hairless Asian skin with a California tan, a Jamaican dance hall ass, long Swedish legs, small Japanese feet, the abs of a lesbian gym owner, the hips of a 9-year-old boy, the arms of Michelle Obama, and doll tits. I don't know what that means. The person closest to actually achieving this look is Kim Kardashian, who, as we know, was made by Russian scientists to sabotage our athletes. I think this quote is important. It's showing that complexity. It's not simple. It's not simply that Kim conforms to a single beauty standard. And I think in empathizing with that, we can imagine some of the difficulty it must mean to be in that spotlight and within that fame machine, particularly when understanding the body. But if we talk about Kim Kardashian's body, I think it's important to discuss the empowering moves that she's made within her career to use sex and her body as a tool of power. Kim Kardashian broke the internet. As much as we've discussed our perception of her beauty, this sexuality as a tool is something that we often see in careers of people similar to Kim. We can reference the infamous sex tape with Ray J, her nude shoots, I quote Kim Kardashian, nude selfies till I die, which is great. But what we have here is sexuality frequently as a means of shame, frequently as a means of slut-shaming women, but also as a means of value and publicity. And Kardashian wields her body and her sexuality in order to increase her clout and power. I would argue that it's similar to her integration of her family into her life to increase this momentum. She's using every tool at her disposal and understanding specifically public reaction and reception to her actions. These are calculated acts. That's one of the major theses that I'd like to emphasize to you today, is that these people have an awareness and an intelligence of what they're doing. To move on then, I'd like to discuss narrative and semiotic structure, and I think that the recent Kardashian feud with Blac Chyna is an incredible example of media narrative. So the first thing I think we need to acknowledge when discussing this is the essential unknowability of celebrity. And just as Kim turns away from us in this photo, we can never fully know her true internal life, her emotions, her sincerity. These are things we just don't have access to. All we can really know is that, ostensibly, they exist, in some sense, whatever they are. So what we can know, though, is the story that's created around these figures, both by their individual actions and our expectations, which we manifest in the media and our portrayal and representation of them. So as we dive into this story, I'd first like to introduce you to our cast of characters. Kim K, our kingpin as always, her husband, Kanye West, a famous rapper, sometimes a little bit controversial. We also have Amber Rose. Amber Rose, for those who may not know, is a very famous model and a video girl, which is a term for girls that are often seen in rap music videos and things like that. Extremely well known. Also, the famous ex-girlfriend of Kanye West. She's the Mercutio in the story, if you will, to our Romeo, Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna, also a model and video girl, is... You know, I struggle to editorialize here, but she has a sweetness and a strength that I wish to emphasize. Then we have Tyga, an idiot. I hate Tyga. I am biased. Tyga's the worst. He is also a rapper. I can't even talk about it. Kylie, then again, is another important character in this narrative. So remember, she's the youngest of the Jenners. And during the events of this following story, Tyga is 25, approximately, and Kylie is 17. Note that. Then, finally, we have our Juliet, Rob Kardashian Jr. The fourth Kardashian, you remember the youngest, Karab, as we said before, on the Kardashian side. Perhaps the least suited to fame. A bit of a recluse, been through some depression and some pain in a very public way, sock designer. So we will begin then in paradise. Things are pretty simple. We have here Kim Kardashian posing with her good friend, Blac Chyna. Now, they're great friends and frequently they go on double dates. Now, why is that? Because Blac Chyna is in a relationship with Tyga. A long one, I will say, around 3 years. Blac Chyna and Tyga are close friends with Kim Kardashian and Kanye. However, it's not all wonderful in paradise. Amber Rose and Blac Chyna are absolutely very close friends. And they have an interesting and very similar career path. As I mentioned, they both began as strippers, and I think that they capitalized on the same kind of formula we discussed that we've seen variations on with Paris and Chris and Kim, with social media, club appearances, business that you're investing in, and again, using this dating to gain your own clout and momentum. Regardless, though, we will remember that Amber Rose and Kanye, famous exes with a pretty hostile breakup. In fact, Amber Rose has frequently accused Kim Kardashian of having infidelities and affairs with Kanye before they were frequently broken up. So we have Blac Chyna in the middle of these two wonderful and strong female friendships, and also in a relationship with the biggest idiot of all time, Tyga. So they have a child together, King Cairo. They're together for 3 years. Tyga engages. It's beautiful and happy until their engagement is suddenly broken off by Tyga. What could possibly motivate this man to leave a beautiful mother and businesswoman? It's interesting, the rumors swirled, but it might have something to do with Tyga throwing Kylie Jenner's 17th birthday party. Ooh. Rumors spin, but we're not sure. Everyone's denying it. Everyone's like, oh, we're just friends. Kylie's like, I'm just friends. Tyga's like, I'm just friends. Until a fateful interview, which I would like to show you now.
1051. Now with Tyga, mentioning Tyga, you're executive producing his album. Do you feel like his relationship with your sister-in-law is inappropriate?
I think he got it early. I think he was smart.
I told him he's red shirt, and after that, a great red shirt prospect. And let's be clear, Russell was 35 when he met Kamora, she was 17.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, you know.
They close
But I'm
in
from the
age.
South too, though. So
They closer in age than a lot of relationships that I know. You know.
he's 25. She'll be 18 in August. Like,
Yeah, I knew Tyga was smart. You know.
So after this, it was very hard to deny. Kanye, a controversial man, came forward, and soon things quickly escalated as Kylie and Tyga did announce their relationship bit by bit, Instagram post after Instagram post, which led to, ultimately, the eruption of this feud. And I say eruption, but it was a slow eruption, like a true volcano. So again, I'll just go over this quickly. We have, of course, Kanye and Kim in a loving relationship, and now Kylie and Tyga in their newly announced relationship. Amber Rose and Blac Chyna, absolutely best friends. So now that Blac Chyna has been spurned by Tyga, Amber Rose and Blac Chyna are against this whole relationship, particularly Kylie. Now you remember that Amber already has beef with Kim and Kanye due to her being broken up. And ultimately, ultimately Kim is caught in the middle of this. Kim, friends with Blac Chyna, but half-sister to Kylie, sides with the family as she predictably would, and the friendship between Blac Chyna and Kim dissolves as we move forward. But now we return to our Juliet, Rob Kardashian. If we think about Rob Kardashian's history in the Kardashian family, as I said, easily suited to fame. I think that's pretty much an objective statement. Rob Kardashian, as he grew for several of the original seasons, was quite involved with the Kardashian family and adapted pretty well. But, you know, from our perspective as an audience to all of this, it's hard to tell which came first, his depression or his pretty significant and fast weight gain. And obviously, you know, we've talked a lot about beauty standards and the position of empathy we have for the Kardashians, but gaining weight and being so frequently judged on your body, compared on these things on such a public level, can only be an extremely difficult thing to go through. And Rob Kardashian, for, well, we can guess this and several other reasons, became quite reclusive. He wasn't on the show, he barely interacted with his family members, we just didn't see him in the public eye in the same way. He faded. Until Blac Chyna. Rob and Blac Chyna, yes, are now in a relationship. Once they announced it, all of a sudden, Rob had a Snapchat. I know that doesn't sound that big a deal, but it's a huge deal. Rob had a Snapchat. We started seeing him in events, and what's more is we started seeing him happy. We started seeing Rob Kardashian smiling and with this woman. Now, obviously, as you'll remember, this is not okay or cool with the other Kardashian members, so it led to one of my favorite screenshots of all time. Kendall and Kylie Jenner scream at Rob Kardashian for regifting iPad to Blac Chyna. This video is too long for us to watch here and now, but I promise you it is well worth your time. So regardless, I will say that as much as there was drama within the family and addressing Rob, addressing Blac Chyna, the Kardashians do have a spirit of reconciliation. It's a pattern we've seen with Amber Rose, with Blac Chyna. Particularly, I think this is a moment when we see Kim stepping up into a matriarchal role, sitting down Kylie and Blac Chyna and having them discuss what's actually happened. And at the end of the day, when we look at just Blac Chyna and Rob Kardashian, it's kind of a classic Cinderella story. Boy gains weight, family heavily criticizes him for weight gain publicly, boy becomes recluse to fame and family, boy meets girl, girl helps boy lose weight, become happy, family reaccepts boy. It's really a beautiful story, and I think that Kanye might say it best himself. Blac Chyna fucking Rob, help him with the weight. I wish my trainer would tell me what I overate. I think we all wish that, Kanye. It's beautiful. Regardless, now it's time to look to the future. Now that we've seen this narrative and we've seen this structure, we see Blac Chyna with the only male heir to the Kardashian name. In her belly, now that they are engaged and Blac Chyna is pregnant, she carries the next generation of Kardashians. And it's interesting to see Blac Chyna, or as she will become, Angela Renee Kardashian, use some of the same tools that the Kardashians used to become famous and to create this fame machine to gain her place at the table. To me, it's a fascinating progression. And frankly, you know, we've talked about sincerity a bit in this talk and how much we can really know them, and particularly Blac Chyna. I don't think we'll ever know whether she sincerely loves Rob Kardashian. I don't think we'll ever know that. But I think we can know that she, like the women who have gone before her, was absolutely aware of the consequences of her actions. This is either the greatest coup or the greatest love story of all time, to quote BuzzFeed. And again, when I look at this now, to take a step back from this family specifically, there's this question that we began with of why these people are famous. And to me, when I think about this, it makes sense. Because this is Game of Thrones. This is Shakespeare. This is Machiavellian plots. To me, it's fascinating that the Kardashians represent this political intrigue, like a kind of story people have been telling for years with betrayal and families and old school political marriages, but it's all couched in kind of low art, like reality TV shows, BuzzFeed, things like that. And when I think about their stories in this way, like this short-term gratification that we have,